Hey guys, it's me, Seth again. Today I'm going to be talking about the evolution of strength and conditioning training through time and kind of what strength and conditioning as a profession has faced in recent history. And to kind of start out, I feel like it's best to talk about the beginnings of strength and conditioning training. And if you look back in time, according to history, people have been strength training all the way back to ancient times. Specifically, even ancient Greece, where athletes were training using weights made of stone or metal, and they were even doing body weight exercises like push-ups, pull-ups, and squats even way back then. And one of the most famous early strength athletes was Milo of Creton, who was a Greek wrestler, and this was back around the 6th century. And he was thought to have trained by carrying a calf on his shoulders every day until it grew into a full-grown bull, which in and of itself is insane, but for back then, it's, completely unheard of. And to kind of go through that, you know, as time went on, people were adapting themselves to strength training, whether it was through coaching or, just kind of through just kind of through personal experience. And that's the interesting thing to see is that, there's not a lot of documentation about there being physical strength and conditioning coaches back in ancient times. It was more just about people getting themselves into shape to go into battle. Especially with the ancient Greeks. Could they have had someone kind of leading their workouts? It's possible, but we don't have too much documentation on that. And it really wasn't until after the American Civil War that we started to see actual physical education classes amongst schools, and it's kind of unfortunate, really, because that's hundreds of years lost with children, not even just children, but for people themselves being able to, I guess, expand into really the greatest thing that they could be. Because if you look at statues and depictions of ancient Romans and ancient Greeks, don't get me wrong, they're shredded, they're massive. But if they had the teaching that we have at our hands today, what could have they truly been? What could they have truly been? Because they didn't have access to anabolic steroids. They didn't have access to full gyms. They just had what they had, which back then was just large pieces of stone and metal, and in some cases, young cows. And like I said earlier, it wasn't really until the American Civil War, or after the American Civil War, that we started to see physical education classes be integrated into, the American school system. And you really get to see how much that blossomed as the years went on. Because even going all the way back to the Second World War, we actually have video footage of class training of actual PE classes from the 40s, and we see that they didn't have obviously all the stuff that we do today. They didn't have all the crazy weight machines that we do today, but back then, these kids were all very lean. None of them were super overweight, like unfortunately you'll see a lot of today. They were all extremely lean. They were doing a lot of basic body weight exercises and a lot of training techniques you'd see in like a police academy training course, like having them go across monkey bars or having them do rock climbing during their PE classes. And that's very interesting to see. Because nowadays, you hardly ever see something like that, especially in a middle school, elementary school, high school system even, Heck, you hardly ever see that even in a college system. And it's very interesting to see how from the early 20th century onwards, how it advanced so rapidly. Because you went from the 40s being, bodyweight exercises and simple kind of calisthenics-based exercising, to nowadays you'll actually have kids working out in a full weight room. Kids now have access to a full weight room with machines and all sorts of stuff. They have trainers, they have massage saunas, they have all these things. They have access to all these things that back then was unheard of. And that's just kind of a brief idea. Brief. That's just kind of a 5-minute quick ramble about how strength and conditioning has really changed over the last some on couple thousand years.